am Fletcher Brown here with another artist video blog at KIX96Country.com. Our guest today all the way from Nashville, Tennessee by way of, well, north of the border. He's from Ontario, Canada. Please welcome Marshall Dane to KIX96Country.com. Marshall.
Brother.
How are you?
I am fantastic.
All right, now you've made quite a few waves in Canada. I mean, you're four-time nominated CMAO, which is the Country Music Association of Ontario. You've made Best Male, Best Album. You've garnered critical acclaim both north of the Canadian border and in Nashville. And now you're coming at us with your album One of These Days. And the first single off, is it the first single off the album?
It's the second single off the album, but it's the first single of this year.
And it's alcohol abuse, which is a topic that I'm none too familiar with myself. But let's take a moment and get to know Marshall and find out more about him. Now, born and raised Southern Ontario.
Yes.
How did you find country music?
Oh, the short of it is that my dad, I mean, my mother's the pop girl. She likes Simon and Garfunkel. And my father was the country guy. He was into Vince Gill and Merle Haggard and Elvis Presley. And so, you know, my grandparents, my grandfather played the fiddle, my uncle played the piano, my grandmother played a lap steel. I mean, it was just kind of, it was really, our music in our family was a social thing. It was a weekly thing, a get-together thing. It was a nightly thing. My mom would play the piano. You know, the music part was in my blood. The storytelling songs were in my blood. My grandmother was Johnny Denver and Kenny Rogers. My father's a preacher. I was groomed in that same avenue. So the whole concept of you know, good ethics and morals, the music part of that is found in country. So it was kind of inevitable. You know, there I was writing country songs as a little kid. And I mean, by country songs, they were just on acoustic guitar, and it kind of, you know, it was a folk song, and it had, you know, a good story, and, you know, it was clean. So, you know, through my sister's, you know, power influence of Bon Jovi and Motley Crue.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
You know, I kind of, you know, had this kind of rock and roll thing going on with this country songwriter thing going on. And then country music ended up taking rock and roll into it and allowing that to meld together, which made it cool for me to kind of do what I do now, which is that blend of country and rock.
All right, so you say your dad's a preacher. So you were raised in the church.
Yeah.
All right, and we all know country music is just all about storytelling. It's the good and the bad. It's the good, the best, and the worst of life and living. So your father, dude, you told him, he's like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna play country music. What did he say?
Well, both him and my mother's first reaction wasn't, you know, they weren't too impressed that I was not going down the path of, you know, that I was supposed to be a preacher like my dad. But then all of a sudden I, you know, called him like, Dad, I'm like 10 feet away from Ricky Skaggs, and I just met, oh boy, I always forget, Tanya Tucker.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, oh, tell Ricky I'm his biggest fan, and take your picture with him, and you know, and all of a sudden, you know, some things came up like an Alan Jackson, you know, show I was able to do. Things like that. And, you know, a couple years later, they realized that I wasn't really a wayward son. I was, you know, more of a prodigal son in their mind, because they thought I was going away and I was going down the wrong path. But once they saw that I was keeping it together and I was, you know, waking up early and doing the job I had to do, and I mean, my idea is when I'm playing music, I'm there to bring smiles. I'm there to show people that you know, that we relate to each other, and that there's a silver lining. There's always a message of hope. And once my dad kind of figured that stuff out, you know, he started to come around, and he was pretty cool with it. My mom probably secretly was like, go kid, go.
Actually, well, you bring the message back around. You talk in your bio about the inspiration for your songs. You're a songwriter. Inspiration for your music, and I mean, just living life and every day, and the lessons that you carry with you from your father from childhood. All right. Now, let's talk a little bit about the album, One of These Days. This is your first foray into United States country, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is your first actual radio tour.
Yes.
All right. So welcome, by the way, into this crazy world of ours.
Right on.
Your single, Alcohol Abuse, doing very well. It's already debuted in the top 80 in Music Row. All right. So tell us about this album and the process. Because as I understand it, you didn't go into the studio with like, okay, these songs are ready, we're going to record them. I've got all this worked out. You kind of just had a general idea of how you were going to approach this in the studio. So with looking at the end result now, the album, I mean, would you say that was that right? You know, was that how you should have done that, or if you could go back, would you do it different?
If I had to go back, it would be different. Not because of choice, but because there's so many ways to skin the cat. I mean, so I could do 10, 15, 20 different versions of the same song and then find enjoyment doing it. This process was slightly different than our previous record. The previous record, you know, was really mapped out, you know, pre-produced before we actually hit the studio. This current album, you know, I had a new group of people I was working with, and when they suggested, do you want to bring in a different group of guys to record, I'm like, yeah, let's try that. That sounds like fun. That sounds like we could make a different meal out of this and, you know, have fun cooking it. So, you know, we went into the studio. I knew the songs acoustically, but then it was really about, all right, what does the drummer feel here? All right, play that. That sounds cool. Maybe we should change it up a bit. You know, like it was really a hands-on, in the moment.
Really organic approach.
Yeah, let's create it now. And that was cool. And the end result, I'm very happy with. It's, you know, I think it sounds exciting. It sounds different than the previous album. And the next record's going to be, you know, different altogether. I mean, it's not like going Eric Church here and then all of a sudden new Eric Church. What? You know, it's which, you know, I like, but you know, it's always just to keep even my mind, my creative mind, you know, occupied. I think the listeners enjoy that too. You can have slightly different experiences from record to record. Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about the single, Alcohol Abuse. That's one that you wrote. What's that about? Is the title the song, or is there something else there?
Well, we've got songs that get into some deep topics, you know, like Not Today on the record, you know, talks about, you know, having an actual problem with alcohol. This song isn't that. This song is all about spilling drinks. You know, we have a tendency to, on both records, and especially on this new album, have a little tongue-in-cheek kind of, you know, smiling, you know, with the tunes. And alcohol abuse as an expression, I'd never heard it used as a funny expression. I'd only ever heard it as a serious, you know, way of saying something. And then all of a sudden one day, a couple 4 years ago, you know, bouncers are sitting there cleaning up after the end of the night. We're all packing up, and they're helping the girls grab all the bottles and stuff. And somebody drops one and it smashes. And one of the girls yells out, "Alcohol," or, you know, "Tell them that's alcohol abuse." And, you know, the idea of taking it and making it a funny song or a fun song about the lighthearted antics that happen at the bar. I really don't have any tunes that say, let's go out and get drunk. That's not, I mean, I don't do those songs.
I have lots of those songs.
Yeah, I got lots of those memories, but not lots of those songs. I could probably write those tunes, but, you know, I tend to write ones that are a little bit, you know, just a little more fun, you know, about it. So Alcohol Abuse is high energy. Again, it's all just about spilling drinks, and the chorus is really the hook. I mean, like it always should be. But, you know, I challenge anybody in the room, if you can catch the Michelob, Anheuser, Miller Lite, Budweiser, Newcastle, Harpoon, Lone Star, Blue Moon, Dos Equis, Amstel, you know, then it just goes on. Highball, Bloody Mary, Fuzz Neville, Coke, Cherry, Mudslide, Margarita. You got to be a rapper almost to get it out fast.
Yeah, I'm tired just listening to it.
Right?
Okay, now where can folks find you on the web? You obviously you intrigued a brand new group of people. Your fans are already there supporting you, but the group of people that have just come to Marshall Dane right now, where can they find you on the web?
If you Google me, I think I come up with the first 3 pages, except for A, a hockey player, and B, Dane County, Wisconsin, Marshall County in Dane, Wisconsin. Something like that. Anyways, otherwise it's marshalldane.com, MARSHALLDANE, not MOUSE, .com. And there you can find links to our Twitter page, which is at Marshall Dane, Facebook, which is facebook.com/MarshallDaneMusic, anything, Instagram, it's all up there, SoundCloud. But basically, go to the website, marshalldane.com, and you can check out our latest videos. The video for Alcohol Abuse is off the hook. It's fun. It was all independently done, so we you know, had to put a lot of our creative brain juices into that. And, yeah, man, we're all over the place, but the website's where you can find all the good information. All
right, well, look him up, Marshall Dane. Look him up on Facebook, on Twitter. Look him up at marshalldane.com, and hopefully we can get him to come back here and visit us later on here in the year as he's on his first ever U.S. radio tour. Marshall Dane from Ontario, Canada. And Marshall, we appreciate you being here.
Brother, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Look for a live performance from Marshall Dane elsewhere on our website, and we'll see you again next time on another artist video blog at KIX96Country.com.